Okay, so these can also get a little more interesting. So it's certainly not always going to be just one algebraic step to solve literal equations. So let's take some more interesting examples. For instance, AB plus C equals D, solving for B. First, I'll subtract C from both sides. AB equals D minus C. And then divide both sides by A. B equals D minus C over A. And that's as far as we can simplify. I feel that breaking that into D over A minus C over A, for instance, would be making this more complicated because then we'd have two terms instead of one. We could very easily evaluate that. All right, here's another one. Now this time the addition happened before the division. So I'm going to need to do that in reverse order. Let's get rid of that division by 2 by multiplying by 2 on both sides. Like so. And then I'm going to add the z to both sides. And there's my solution. Y equals 2x plus z. Things can get interesting with fraction multiplication and so forth as well. Parentheses tell me that that subtraction happens before that multiplication. So as with the last one, I'm going to need to get rid of that 1/4 first. Dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. A minus C equals 4 times B. And now to continue solving for A, I will simply add C to both sides. And get 4b plus c. All right. Sometimes you'll need to take a square root or cube root or something like that in order to solve for a variable. Here are some examples. We saw this one in our introductory video to literal equations, right? If you need to solve this, the area of a circle equals radius squared times pi for radius, then this is an example where you have to take a square root. For all, we divide by pi, first of all, and then we take the square root of both sides. You may recall that there's usually a precaution or something that you need to be considering when you take the square root of a square. You should put a plus or minus, but since we're dealing with actual areas and lengths and things here, there's no such thing as a negative area or negative length. So we don't have to worry about the plus or minus. We simply get radius equals the square root of area over pi. So a slight variation on that problem would be, say, if we wanted to solve for radius in the equation for the volume of a cylinder, say a right circular cylinder. First, I'll divide by pi times h. I can divide by both of those, right, at once, and that way they both cancel at once. And as always, I divide both sides by that, okay? And now I have, let me just rewrite here. I can take the square root of both sides, once again, omitting the plus or minus, and we get square root of v over pi h, like so. Now how about the volume of a sphere? All right, well, I have, if I want to solve this for r, I have to, first of all, get rid of this thing that's multiplied by in front. It's this coefficient, if you will. So let's multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. Cancels out nicely. We have radius cubed equals 3/4 volume now. Now we'll take the x, and there's no plus or minus needed for the odd roots. Okay, so that's simply radius cubed of 3/4. All right, here are a couple for you to try. Pause, give them a try, and come back and see how you did. All right. So first off, negative st minus u equals v. I'm going to solve that for t. like so. And now for number 2, we have 1/3 times the sum of x and y equals z. We're going to solve this for x. I'm going to take care of that 1/3 first. I'm multiplying by the reciprocal. X plus y then equals 3z. It would be very 3z to solve this from there. I'm going to subtract y from both sides. There we have it. Now for number 3. A minus b divided by 3 equals c. We're going to solve this for a. I'm going to take care of that dividing by 1/3, dividing by 3 first, by first multiplying both sides by 3. A minus b equals 3c. And then I'll simply add b to both sides, and we're good to go. So, number 4 is the same equation, but now we're solving for b. There's a small twist here that we haven't seen yet. A minus b equals 3c. Now, if I subtract a from both sides, I have negative b equals 3c minus a. But I haven't quite solved for b yet. I'm going to have to either multiply both sides by -1 or divide both sides by -1. I'm going to multiply. Okay, so then we get b equals, distributing, we get negative 3c plus a. All right. And now for number 5, we have a squared value in there. We're going to solve for a in this equation. A squared over b equals c. Well, let's get that a squared by itself. So we can take the square root, multiply both sides by b. A squared equals c times b. Take the square root of both sides. I suppose, properly speaking, we should put plus or minus, but I'm not going to worry about that for the moment. And there's our answer. A equals square root of c